I guess we can get started. Firstly, hello everyone. Welcome to the webinar. This is AVOW's first webinar, and I hope it goes well, and I hope you all learn a lot of something or take away something from it. The topic today we have is FinTech Unlocked: Growth, Trust, and the Mobile OEM Advantage. So when it came to this topic and why we selected this topic, we thought, hey, we need to have people who are at the forefront of growth, trust, and the mobile OEM advantage. So we put together a stellar team of experts and panelists. Before we jump into that, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Ashwin. I'm one of the co-founders and the chief revenue officers at AVOW. AVOW is an app marketing company which was started in 2018. We focus on user acquisition with partners using mobile OEMs. So I would like to introduce firstly Licia from AppsFlyer. Do you want to give a quick intro?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Lesia. I'm industry lead at AppsFlyer, covering EMEA and Latam markets, and I work with fintech and finance clients. So we'll share my experience from the MMP perspective here today.
Nice. Bono, do you want to go next?
Yeah, cool. So first of all, good to see everybody. So my name is Bono. So I'm representing Xiaomi, IAP business, international internet business. So I will be heading the direct sales for US, Europe, and Latin America market. So good to join the webinar today, and very excited to share all of the insights and everything I know about this vertical. Thank you guys so much.
Kelvin?
Yeah, happy to see you, everyone. My name is Kelvin from Kredivo. I work as the head of performance marketing for Kredivo in Indonesia and other markets. Basically, lead all the paid marketing initiative from end to end. So happy to share in this webinar.
Good. Thank you everyone for that introduction. As you can see, put together a very experienced group today. Just for everyone's knowledge, this webinar will be recorded, and for those who cannot join, we will share this recording later, right? So let's just jump right in. The fintech world has a lot, is evolving a lot and has a lot of challenges and constantly growing, right? At AVOW, fintech is one of our biggest verticals. We hear from clients day in and day out on challenges which they're facing. Some of the biggest challenges they face are trust and credibility. When it comes to trust and credibility, it comes from whether it's user acquisition, whether they're acquiring the right users, and whether they're choosing the right partners when it comes to trust and credibility in terms of the installs they are generating or the users they are acquiring via those channels, right? So the first question here, I think, would be very, very important for Kelvin. Kelvin, as a buy now, pay later app, you operate in one of the most sensitive verticals in the fintech space. What does trust building look like, and how does it impact your growth strategy?
Yeah, thank you, Ashwin. Yeah, as you said, especially for fintech is a sensitive vertical in Indonesia, especially. Trust building is fundamental to our user strategy. Basically, to all strategy, not only user acquisition. In the early years, financial literacy in Indonesia was still in developing. So it was critical for us to embed all the trust element into every part of Kredivo experience, from product to communication. We prioritize data security, ensuring users' information is protected and handled responsibly. Kredivo is fully licensed since the beginning and operates in compliance with all relevant regulations. So this is a must for us. And we make that clear to users across touch points. And from a user acquisition perspective, we apply a few practical approach to build and maintain trust. First, we always be transparent and consistent in messaging. as I said before, embed a trust element into every our communication. We make it clear what Kredivo offers, what is Kredivo, how it works, and what users can expect. No hidden fees, no sudden surprises. Consistency across our website, ads, app store listings, and customer support helps reinforce our credibility. And second, show proof points and third-party validation. This is critical in Indonesia. We always highlight government licensing, such as the logo. In Indonesia, we call it OJK, the Financial Services Regulator, showcasing user testimonials and use App Store reviews or media mentions to build social proof. Invest in content and educates. Financial literacy also our focus. Instead of selling aggressively, we focus on educating users through our blog, videos, ads, FAQs in our website, and then enable clear and easy onboarding. So this is on the product side. We simplified the sign-up process with a user-first mindset. So we always making it frictionless while clearly explaining what data is collected, why, and we make it clear that their data, our users' data, is safe for us, is safe on us. And then we act fast on support and feedback. Our CS social teams are trained not just to resolve issues, but to do so empathetically and transparently, fast, helpful responses signal that we care about our users. Hence, the trust will be built. As a result, we can check it now. In Google Play, App Stores, our rating is always in the range of 4.8 to 4.9 out of 5, which shows how our users love our product and trust the product. And it's not in the baseline of 100,000 reviews, but it's already, I think in Google Play, 4 to 5 million reviews. Yeah. So ultimately, trust isn't one of the time effort, not only one-time effort. It's built through every iteration, and we are put our concern there. The more consistent and clear we are, the more trust users place in Kredivo, which positively impacts both acquisition and retention. I think that's all, Ashwin.
Perfect. Yes, it's a very good point. And I believe everyone, not only you as a company, me as a customer, anyone as a customer, when it comes to putting money, trust is a very, very important factor, right? It is something which is the core of a company which is built on B2C user acquisition and so on. At AVOW, also, we constantly build trust and transparency with mobile OEM partners when it comes to where the ads are placed, how the ads are done, and in terms of user acquisition, also, we strive to be the partner which advertisers can trust and the OEMs can trust to help them grow out their portfolio. Beyond trust, the other biggest challenge which we see when it comes to users is when it comes to mobile OEM advertising is the ability to drive quality over quantity, right? In today's age and day, there is scale on mobile OEMs is pretty good, especially in emerging markets. In European markets, it's growing, and it is definitely growing from day to day. But one thing which we come across is beyond installs only. What are the other things which we can track with mobile OEM advertising? How do we ensure that we drive quality? And when it comes down to quality, is there a data-driven approach where users can not just install, and we can track whether the install is actually driving more engagement to the users in a more down funnel position, right? So with that in mind, my question is here to Bono. Are you seeing a similar shift in how apps are defining and optimizing for user quality? Because I'm pretty sure it's also changed from, hey, I just don't want an install, but I want to acquire the right user for my particular app.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Ashwin. So I think this is quite interesting, right? So when we're talking about digital marketing, we're talking about we want more than just engagement, right? We want a lower funnel conversions. We want to actually people doing the post, like events that actually will contribute to the revenue of the advertisers looking for, right? So I think like one of the biggest OEM that has will be the data points that we actually are having. So look at this breakdown, right? So what makes OEM or Xiaomi actually quite different is that look at two different angles. One is in terms of the devices, right? So just thinking about how OEM Xiaomi creating the smart like lifestyle, right? So smartphone is everywhere. You wake up, you start using your phones, you turn on the speakers, you turn on everything in your daily life, stuff like that. And those engagement will become a touch points to collect the data that help us to profile in the right users in terms of promotions, right? And then after that, I think Xiaomi as a manufacturer's company, we're more than just smartphones. We have tablets, we have CTV, or even now we manufacture a car, right? So I think we are everywhere to be seen in your daily life, and pretty much you are engaged with our devices every day. So just thinking about how massive those first party data are, and those can be utilized for marketing promotions. So that's the first layer. And the second layer is go beyond just devices. It's more like at the OS level, right? So just thinking about how those devices being connected to one OS system, and that being able to produce all of the data points that can precise targeting the users that advertisers are looking for. I think that's quite powerful. So to answer your questions, I think with OEM, I think we are extremely compliant. We can talk about that a little bit further. But what I try to point out is that we're talking about lower funnel, we're talking about precise targeting, right? So I think as OEM, that collects all of the first party data, the daily users every day. And with those put in together, that can be a very powerful approach in terms of getting the right user for your products.
Perfect. So it's very obvious for 2025 and 2026, it will not be just acquiring users on quantity, but also on quality, right? But how do you define and track these metrics is something which is constantly changing. Here, I'm sure with Bono, with Xiaomi, we are leveraging their down funnel optimization engine, which helps us deliver users not only on the right install, but also on quality. But you also talked about very interesting points here around privacy and data, the amount of data you collect. So I think that we move on to the next section, which is to Lysia. Lysia, because you guys, AppsFlyer works at the forefront of data and making sure that privacy is at the key for every single advertiser and how they record data and so on. Let's talk about privacy for a bit. With Google and iOS updates changing constantly, how are we tracking and attributing users? Performance visibility is harder, has become harder, but it's still very, very important. So can you give us some insights into how you see this entire privacy first attribution and tracking evolving?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I can add more on this. This is a big topic right now. And we see that fintech and crypto apps, they are using really diverse media mix. So they work with different ad networks, agencies, platforms. And this makes attribution and performance measurement and optimization even harder, especially with these new privacy regulations from Google and Apple. So at AppsFlyer, we help by offering flexible privacy-first measurement solution. For example, we use probabilistic modeling to measure the attribution from most of the partners our fintech clients working with. And this helps them to understand where the users are coming from. They have full LTV, they understand how their channels are performing, and it's possible even when deterministic tracking isn't there. So for partners, for example, like Google, Facebook, other self-reporting networks, We call them self-reporting networks because they work with us via APIs. We support solutions such as SKAd Network, which is done by Apple. It's on iOS. And we also actively working with Google on the privacy sandbox for Android. So we are involved in early testing and shaping the standards. So our clients will be ready as these tools evolve. The key advice we give fintech marketeers is the following. Lead into a combination of tools. Use probabilistic attribution where it's possible and connect the data to a SKAd network and campaign level insights. Make sure that your teams understand how to analyze, read full picture in the dashboards. And in general, with these privacy regulations, you don't have to lose visibility just because rules are changing. We always encourage clients just to adopt. So you just need a right setup and single source of truth.
Perfect. So now that we learned how to get full insights with data privacy and ensuring that your user journey and tracking is not compromised, let's talk about the most important thing, which we also hear from a lot of customers. Hey, how do we deal with fraud? And fraud is one of the biggest issues when it comes to user acquisition, especially in the fintech space. So again, my question to you here, Alicia, is how does AppsFlyer support fintech apps in protecting their budgets from fraud and ensuring that they're not acquiring fake traffic, but only acquiring real users?
Yeah, again, big topic. One of the biggest challenges, I believe, for fintech and crypto apps. At AppsFlyer, we give fintech apps strong multi-layered protection. It's done within our product, which called Protect 360. But first, I wanted to highlight that we have a huge reach. Our SDK is at about 95% of devices around the world. That gives us very strong signal when it comes to spotting fraud. And we don't just look at the fraud in real time, we also analyze user behavior after the install. And that's what we mean by multi-layered. We look at the full journey. We don't just look at the click and install. If we see strange patterns after user installs the apps, like faking in-app events or anything that our clients pay for, like for the CPA ad networks, we can block that after attribution. So in this way, we protect clients to pay for the fake users because, as was mentioned before, a lot of clients in this vertical use diverse media mix and work based on the CPA. Additional thing, fraud methods are always changing and we have to improve too. And now, for example, we use advanced AI to detect new fraud techniques and quickly respond to challenges in the ecosystem. We have also flexibility for our clients with a new flexible studio where they can choose if they want to block traffic from specific partners or they don't. This gives them additional leverage and a set of settings on their side. And it's not just the tech. We also educate clients and ecosystem in general. We help them to understand how to use their dashboards, how to spot risky traffic, how to work with the partners, and how to take action based on the data. In this way, fintech apps stay protected, spend smarter, and they grow with confidence.
Thanks for that. I remember a few years ago, Protect 360, which is your anti-fraud solution, was a nice to have solution which advertisers were using, but now it's looks like it's a must-have solution because there's constantly fraud lurking around and they're trying to definitely get better because end of the day for a fraudster, it is about quick money. And for an advertiser, it is about how they prevent them from paying out and not using this. To wrap that topic up, I also like to talk about my experience and our experience with using mobile OEMs on the topic of fraud. The mobile OEMs like Xiaomi, Oppo, Vivo, and so on are their core attribution is to sell phones and to make users encourage discoverability, right? So they are verified ecosystems where placements are native to the device. Uh, they don't have any monetary benefits in terms of driving as many installs or driving any kind of fraud. So when you look at it from that point of view, the OEMs especially are always building unique, creative, fraud-free methods to ensure user discoverability, user engagement, and so on. So this is why when you advertise on OEMs, you generally see close to zero fraud, and the entire bidding and everything is done on real devices with measurable and clean signals. That in partnership with AppsFlyer's integration and so on, we see this as both as a growth channel and a scalable channel, which is very, very safe. And for advertisers like Kelvin and Kredivo, this is very important. So we talked about growth channels quickly. Now also let's talk about how, my question is to Bono. Let's talk about how Xiaomi facilitates and enhances fintech app distribution through your ecosystem. You said you have cars, you have IoT devices, you have watches. What is it that you guys are doing at the forefront to encourage app distribution and encourage user discoverability of particular
Right.
fintech apps?
Right, cool. Thanks, thanks, Ashwin. So, link back to like what we just mentioned, right? I think that what makes OEM very special in terms of the user acquisition channel is that we do have multiple different devices across the board, right? And then we do have very different touch points, stuff like that. The way we look at us is that we have three different layers of touch points and data, right? So one will be at the device level. Just thinking about how many devices that I just mentioned, the watches, the Alexa, the speakers, everything, the car, all of the AIoT products that we have at homes, at your life, right? So that aside, that itself is the device level data points. And the second layer will be the OS level data points, right? Just thinking about, okay, so Xiaomi, we create our hyper OS system, right, based on Android. So with that being said, that we've been able to collect a lot of things that people are like a lot of data points that people are using every day. Okay, and the third layer will be the in-app data points, right? Just thinking about how we understand like which devices, has different apps inside and stuff like that. And also like apart from that, what Xiaomi, we are launching our Get App Store, which is Xiaomi official app store globally. So built on that, we do have our different solutions for IAP and IAA. So IAP, we are rolling out our Mi Payments SDK. So what does that say? That says that we are actually being able to like know more about the user, if they actually pay good, if they have, their capability of spending, their devices they're using, at what tiers, stuff like that. So with everything that we're having right now, I think has made OEM a user acquisition channel that can be utilized to achieve the marketing goal. Right, so I think there's some things that OEM that has is that we do have this targeting capability, including we're actually having 12 different dimensions. You could target in device tiers, within the spending power, stuff like that. And also like we have 49 interest category, right? So you can know that, oh, if this user have the crypto, they have this interest, will like trade in, stuff like that. So like for that, we've been able to understand more about our users. And apart from that, we are being able to do epigraphic, right? So for example, you can actually choose the user have downloaded or do not download a certain app of your peers or your competitor, right? So you want to target, for example, are the crypto company, are the fintech companies products, and you can say that, all right, I want to have those users as well, right? So that's epigraphic. And also like in the features, we are actually building something, it's something like lookalike, right? For example, we can actually having some signal about people, they are browsing some websites at the browser, stuff like that, those like history, and also like, oh, they have been using a lot of like calculators or long, so we know that at a certain period of time they are having more interest about using some products regarding the fintech. So I guess that's kind of like something that OEM can do in terms of helping fintech product to grow.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So with so many data points, like what you mentioned, appographic, where you have the ability to know whether users use your app and so on, it becomes very core that the OEMs are obviously a channel which is go-to other than the search and social networks out there. Now, coming to the points which you talked about in terms of data and so on, there is a ton of data which you are collecting and which you are leveraging to this. So data driven isn't simply a buzzword anymore. It is a key driver to how we advertise and how we devise a strategy when it comes to user acquisition, right? So my next question is to Kelvin here. Kelvin, how does your team use all of these data, whether it's insights from AppsFlyer on their tools, whether it's AVOW on how we use our AVOW intelligence to help you optimize campaigns, or the OEM data for you to run a campaign successfully on, let's say, and optimize and detect fraud and scale a campaign to ensure that you are meeting your user acquisition goals.
Okay, thank you, Ashwin. Like you said, data is the primary key for us to make a decision. I think the first thing first, we need to set up the foundation correctly. What I mean is we have to get the data, what kind of data, which we need to validate whether the data is correct or not to make a good decision. And by partnering with AppsFlyer, we use AppsFlyer as the attribution partner, which help us to validate the data on each channel. Because for us at Kredivo, we use multiple channel to acquiring users, and we validate each channel by using the attribution modeling by AppsFlyer. And it's not just installs. AppsFlyer helps us also to check post-installs data. For us, it's like activation, approval, applied, repayment, the LTV, and so on. This allows us to optimize our budget toward high-quality sources. And not only with AppsFlyer, we also trying a lot of partners like AVOW. AVOW is one of our key partners to help us growing. And I think it's already quite a few years, we partnering with AVOW.
It's been a few years.
Yeah, it's already a long time ago. And that's how we trying to maintain our growth. We are not only looking at a short-term partnership, we always looking for a long-term partnership. So the foundation is really key for us. We need to have same belief. Data is a key, and then transparency is a key. We need to know what kind of inventory that AVOW have, what how they approach, how they advertise our apps, where our apps will be advertised. So we need to know whether the traffic is clean or not. Otherwise, we have to spend our time to deal with fraud. We don't want that. So we need to make sure our partner is trusted. And AVOW help us to get into the untapped Android inventory through OEM channels. And we use it to diversify our channel mix beyond traditional networks. Their transparency, brand safety controls ensure we are acquiring users from high quality placements, and it helps us a lot, not only in terms of volume, but quality. And talking about transparency, it's not only AVOW that open to us. We, as their partner, we also open our data, not only installs, but up to the KPI. Our KPI is approval. So we let AVOW know how much approval they get in daily basis. We open the dashboard, they can look at the result. By integrating with AppsFlyer and AVOW, they also have the prospect possibility in order to create some kind of lookalike, finding a good audience, validating the publishers maybe, and it helps us a lot in terms of growth. So overall, both tools are contribute to our growth. First in fraud prevention, second to find a good partner, find a good publishers, and then reducing the fraud issues. And yeah, I think that's how we able to do a lot of experiment with AppsFlyer and AVOW. In the end, it helps us to find a good placement, find a good which content is works better, which audience is engage better with us, and how we can scale our campaign even further. Yeah, I think that's our day-to-day with AVOW
Yeah,
and AppsFlyer.
it sounds like you need a holy trinity to make it work. A good
Yes.
measurement platform, you need an advertiser who's willing to share the right data points, and then you need to explore the right channels, in this case, the mobile OEMs, to ensure that it makes it work, right? So those are some really good insights. Um, Moving on, before we wrap up, we also had before this webinar, when we were advertising for the webinar and sending out emailers, we got a few questions which were submitted ahead of the webinar. So let's take a few minutes to run through them. There were a lot of questions, but I picked out one for each of these, each of you. Let's jump right into it. My question is to AppsFlyer, Alicia. In your opinion, what metrics should early fintechs prioritize when they don't have large budgets or long LTV curves yet? Uh, what are your opinions here?
So in terms of metrics, they've almost all of the new clients, they pay attention to in-app events which are specific to their business, and this is like metrics that would be optimizing towards to. So rather than just running only installs campaigns, you would take a look at the specific actions in the app. And as Calvin mentioned, for them, it could be like account open, some approval, some FTD in-app events. And that's what would be the first and main type of the measurement. And then what we recommend is to also tie these metrics and send this data back to the partners for optimization purposes. That will allow us, even with the smaller budgets, optimize and scale campaigns in a better way, because you not only acquiring a lot of users because you don't have that amount of budgets, you also paying attention to their quality and want to acquire more like quality users. Yeah. I think answered a couple of times here by multiple people, but it's the same approach.
Thank you.
But just when it's smaller clients, it's a smaller scale.
Thank you. Then my next question, which we got, was for Kelvin. A lot of people reached out us saying, "Hey, how is Kredivo doing, and how are they scaling so well with you guys?" Because you were in a few interviews prior, and you were talking about how mobile OEMs are helping you, right? But the question here is, what are the key challenges facing the fintech industry in the landscape of what we have today, and how has your organization adapted to them? You can talk about Indonesia or Southeast Asia in general, but I'm curious to know this.
Yeah, I think the key challenges for us is regulations. We always facing changes in the regulation, and then not only regulation, in the customer acquisition point of view, the costs keep increasing, fraud risk also there, and growing in competition, both traditional financial institution or new players coming up. At the same time, customer expectation also evolving rapidly, with a strong demand for seamless digital experiences, personalized financial solutions. So for us, we approach these challenges by staying agile and focus on. I think I have 3 points here. First, we have doubled down on regulation compliance and data security. We have specific team for that. So to make sure we keep agile and comply to all the regulations. And then second, we leverage data by partnering with AppsFlyer, AVOW, help us to maintain our campaign performance and prevent fraud. Lastly, we focus on delivering real value to users. I think this is the key. With rising of competition, the best defense for us is to build a strong product. We continuously refine our user journey. We hear our user feedback. We always appreciate all the complaints coming, and we always try to support all the complaints, give a solution, and yeah, user is the primary focus also for us. And by using their feedback, we adapt on our product to make sure we always answer our user needs. So yeah, adapting to this landscape means balancing innovation with responsibility. At Kredivo, we are committed to build financial solutions that are not only scalable but also sustainable and trusted. With the help of also our trusted partner like AppsFlyer and Apple.
Thank you. Looks like regulation is throws a spanner in everybody's plans, but it has to happen. The last question is to Bono. When are you moving to Berlin? But no, but seriously, the question is, how does Xiaomi address data privacy concerns in fintech advertising?
Yeah, cool. So I think really just like echo back to what Kelvin just shared, right? So I think that compliance and regulation is everything to Xiaomi, and it's the foundations of our business, right? Because with the fact that we understand with so much we have, right, we need to be like very careful and being very cautious about how we leverage data and stuff like that. And then just thinking about like how Xiaomi is doing business in many different countries across the globe, and how we have been putting so much effort to be regulated to make sure we're compliant. I think that has been one of our biggest market when we are doing business in various different markets, right? And then one thing, the biggest focus that we are doing right now is that we are building a system that actually running that we are minimize the data collections on the device. So on the in the contrast, we utilize those data to be processed at the cloud. So we do not store any data on device, and then all of the data are being optimized and processed at the cloud. So it's safe. So we do not store anything out on our device. So that is one of the commitments and one of the guarantee that we can make to say that, okay, so we are absolutely compliant and we are extremely safe. Yeah.
Got it. Makes complete sense. From my side, I think that brings us to the end of this webinar, but I also had a lot of questions from advertisers we work in and day out saying, hey, are mobile OEMs scalable? Are they the channels which are trackable? Can we drive down funnel events, right? So I just maybe give a couple of few minutes into this. Mobile OEM has definitely become a go-to channel for any advertiser who wants to acquire users in a clean, fraud-free environment. There is absolutely no fraud on this. And given their deep integrations with partners like AppsFlyer and so on, we are able to track the entire journey of the user in a privacy-first environment. And we are able also to drive high intent users, like what Bono said, using the data-driven approach where the OEMs can track usability, what kind of targeting we can do, and so on, right? So with that, that brings us to the end of the webinar. But I also wanted to thank everyone here. Let me give you a quick 1 second. I hope you can see my screen. Firstly, thank you, Bono. Thank you, Licia, and thank you, Kelvin, for spending some time today. I hope all the audience got a clear understanding on how fintech apps can help you. How can you use and leverage fintech mobile app solutions like AVOW, mobile OEMs like Xiaomi, and then MMPs like AppsFlyer to ensure growth. You can reach out to any of the panelists. And one second, it's my first mobile. It's my first webinar, and I'm not sure if you can see my screen. Yeah. So you can reach out to any of the panelists here. And if you need any questions, please reach out to them. We also have our guidebook, which is a new fintech guide. So please download that if you need it. And I will leave this on the screen. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And we hope to do more of this. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.